Negro pero cariñoso. Todos me dicen el negro, Llorona, negro pero cariñoso. Yo soy como el chile verde, Llorona, picante pero sabroso. Yo soy como el chile verde, Llorona, picante pero sabroso.
Do you believe in ghosts? Do you believe in ghost stories? I have a story. In fact, for this individual ghost, I have many stories. There's been many tales surrounded by La Llorona. Many different beginnings, middles, and ends. But all share the same quality, the same outcome. And I decided to look for her. We wanted to find her for ourselves. The stories are so real. And we actually found a location only a few hours away that had many sightings of La Llorona. So we decided to travel there. We took the few-hour drive. We went to the same location as the sightings at the same time that the sightings were seen. And we did find some things. So you'll see these all along the banks of the washes and the rivers down here of people that have been swept away and have died because of a flash flood, getting stuck in it, what have you. Unfortunately, this is a prime example of what can happen. So let's go down closer to the bank of the river and see if we can spot some spirits, or we'll see here. We'll have a high quality camera because it seems like ghosts are only caught on cell phones nowadays. So see if we can really get a good picture. Now, we have found so much lore, so many stories about La Llorona, and I want to tell you the story myself so you can understand who it is we're looking for. Now, keep in mind there are many versions of this story, and I'm only telling you one version, a trimmed down version, so you can understand. Many of the stories are very similar to each other with minor differences, but this is the gist of it. Her real name was Maria, and Maria was the most beautiful woman in her village. Some believed her to be the most beautiful woman in the world. And Maria was very proud, and she knew how beautiful she was. She believed she deserved the best everything. And no man in the village was good enough for Maria. She only wanted a strong man, a manly man. Until one day, just that kind of man rode into town. Strong, riding a wild horse. He was believed to only ride wild horses, and if they became tame, he would simply give them away because real men ride wild horses. Eventually, Maria and the cowboy would fall in love and bear 2 children. But the cowboy, after some time, became bored of Maria. He would start being gone for long periods of time, and when he did return, he would only show affection to his children and not even look at Maria. And this began to make Maria angry and jealous of her own children. Then, after a long stretch of time, the cowboy returned once more as Maria and the children were walking along the riverbanks. He rode up in a carriage with an elegant lady next to him, and he got out only to address his children without even looking at Maria. He got back in his carriage and, as cold and callous as he could, just left. And Maria, all that jealousy and anger built up until she snapped into a fury. She took his 2 children to the river and drowned them in the river. They began to float away, and then she realized what she had done, and she started to run down the riverbank with her arms stretched out, screaming for her children, as if she could grab them out of the water and undo what she had done. As she was running, she tripped over a root and fell, hit her head, and died instantly on the riverbanks. The children were swept away and died as well. The villagers found her body and buried her right where she lay. And it wasn't until the next evening the villagers spotted a woman down by the riverbanks weeping and screaming for her children. And since that time, it's believed that any children down by the river, or any person that she finds, she would drown them in exchange for her own children. Now, there's many versions to this tale, and whether this one's the right one or wrong one, I have no idea. Okay, so one of the issues, if you guys ever want to go out and hunt for whatever, out here in the desert, there's a lot more to worry about besides just spirits or whatever entity it is you're hunting. Out here, there's javelinas, rattlesnakes, scorpions, killer bees. There's a plethora of things that could hurt us. So we're trying to be really careful and listen where we're going. I wouldn't recommend people go do this. We're hunting a malevolent spirit as it is, in terrain that is filled with things that don't want us here. Shh, shh, shh.
Well, here we are. So, right now, I don't know if you can see around us, we are in the riverbed where La Llorona would have lost her children and her life, along with many other people throughout the year. Wait, shh.
Go back to the vehicle.
Well,
Start throwing shit.
nothing's happened. We haven't seen her. We've been walking out here for a while. We're getting eaten by bugs. But it was awesome to come out here where the tale is from. And it was worth it, I think. So, this has been fun. We're going to get back in the vehicle before we get eaten alive by bugs. Now, we spent quite a bit of time searching for La Llorona, but it was to no avail. We did what we could with the resources we had, and we did our best. Maybe it's good we never found her. Maybe she's not supposed to be found. Either way, we kept filming all the way till we was well away from the area in case we spotted her on the road. However, we found nothing. So that was kind of our adventure looking for La Llorona, and it was pretty exciting. It was nerve-wracking, I would say, for sure. You're in an area down the San Pedro that's known for sightings of La Llorona, and a lot of tales of her are pretty gruesome. So what did you think of it?
Well, being in a wash or an old washed out river, essentially, where she has been sighted before, it was, like you said, nerve-wracking. I did feel nervous. It was scary in a sense. It's hard to say if I was scared because La Llorona could be around, or if I was scared because
we're in the middle of
the desert at nighttime, and there's lots of things that can happen. So I was very aware for like wild animal snakes. The last thing we want to do is go and do, a place out in the wild, and we don't want to hurt any of the animals or anything out there as well. For me, we didn't really find anything that was super hard evidence that she's out there roaming around. But I also wouldn't discredit the lore and the fascinating backstories that are kind of structuring this entity into life.
And there is countless, with wraiths, we struggled because there was hardly any lore for us to find. It was really difficult to dig through and find everything. It was a complete opposite with La Llorona. There was so much lore that, man, we would be talking for a long time if we were to just be repeating everything we read. It's endless. There's endless accounts of people, swearing that they saw her, as real as you and I sitting here. And people, there's a very real fear. There's a very real awareness that she's out there. And not just in Mexico or in the southern areas. There's sightings that have been all over the place. I mean, I'm talking South America, up to the northern parts of the United States, all over. This is a spirit that's, its roots are dug in, and sounds like for a real reason. So as we did with the Wraith, and as we're going to do with all lore, if it's necessary, we would like to, tell you how to defend yourself if you come across this entity. And unlike the Wraith, your chances are higher, thankfully, than the Wraith, that's for certain. There's a few different ways, if you were to come across La Llorona, how you can get away from that experience alive. And basically one of those ways is, if you're indoors, you could essentially pray, and she would leave that area immediately through prayer. Let's say you're caught in some dark street. You could spot a flashlight on her. She's not a fan of the light. She's not a fan of that, I guess.
Nope.
And also, if in any scenario, if you're able to, is to find some tools around you or some sticks or whatever and make a cross. You could use your fingers. I mean, those are a few ideas on how to defend yourself if you come across her. In the end, it's best to just try to avoid her altogether.
Yeah, try to stay away from that negative entity for sure. Another possibility is that through all this fear that's been created, all this fear that's been generated from this tale, how deep it's gone, how rooted this tale's gotten in especially the Hispanic community, it's very possible that that's even created a negative entity that could be out there patrolling just because of all the energy people have put out themselves.
That's true.
So that's another option. We could have actually created her or it ourselves.
So we hope this is informative. There's plenty of lore out there for you to research yourself if you'd like to look further into it. It really is a fascinating story, and the first-hand accounts that were had are equally fascinating. I can't tell you if it's real or fake. It's the way people talk about it. It's as real as day.
The fear that exists because of it is 100% real.
We have really appreciated you guys watching. We've had a great response in the Facebook community.
Absolutely.
Thank you all for joining in and watching. We're pretty new at this, so forgive us if we're still kind of finding our way, but we enjoy this, and we hope it could maybe help some folks out there and at least entertain you. So just for a sneak peek of next week, this is an entity that we can't hunt so much, but if there's a way we can, we will. There will be a lot of research involved, but I'm excited to dive in, and that is, being in the Southwest, we decided to hit another one, the kukui. And that itself has some pretty horrific backstories to it.
Absolutely terrifying. The Mexican boogeyman, as it's been called.
Yeah, and if you haven't heard of the kukui, stay tuned. We will be bringing you all the lore.
If you guys have any stories or any lore you want us to investigate,
Absolutely.
feel free to comment. You can hit the inbox. We always reply, usually within an hour. Let us know maybe what paranormal experiences you've had. Maybe that would even open up avenues of investigation we could further travel.
Yeah.
So please, don't be shy, and make sure you reach out to us so we can connect.
Yeah, absolutely. And please head on over to our YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button. We really appreciate the support, and thank you guys for being here. And always remember, if you look hard enough, it will find you.